Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. So, we have finally gotten around to having a little bit of a look at these Outriders. And actually, as some of you suggested in my sort of Season 9 starting video the other day, they're pretty decent. And I agree, really have been having a lot of fun playing them. I kind of didn't think they were going to be a very good unit, so I was a little bit skeptical. And I kind of didn't think it was the sort of thing we really necessarily wanted in the game. But yeah, I've absolutely been having a blast playing them. No pun intended. Explosive rockets, you know, blast. Yeah, okay. So, how have we been getting on with them? As I say, pretty well. Veterancy line-wise, I've been going down the bottom. Before we go too much into that, I guess we should have a look at their two abilities. They have Burning Plains, which is effectively throwing a explosive javelin. It actually has to hit the enemy to explode. It doesn't actually seem to explode like on the ground, so you can't really just throw it in front of an enemy and then they walk into the explosion. You actually have to hit the units with it. But actually, it does a reasonable chunk of damage. It's not crazy powerful, but actually, particularly down the bottom veterancy line with some of the cooldowns you get, the cooldown time on it is very low. That means your hit can throw it fairly regularly, particularly when you start to get it thrown into things like grey hairs and shield walls, you know, Imperial Spear Guard, Stalwarts, that sort of thing. Then, yeah, it seems to be a pretty effective ability. Then we have Ride Like the Wind. A little bit like a charge, the unit flies forwards at high speed. It throws one of its incendiary javelins as it hits. It seems to do a little bit of impact damage as well. They get this increased defense as they do it, so they sort of don't take too much damage, at least on that initial hit. Plus, they regain ammo, so it can be really great when you sort of charge them into sort of a half-strength unit, something like that, so you basically completely kill the unit, don't take much damage, and get all your ammo back, and it's just like, hey, thumbs up. So yeah, really kind of a nice finishing ability, but also a fairly decent charge as well. So why have I gone along with the bottom line? Well, it seems that some things I like the increased ammo, the little bit of extra throwing distance seemed quite nice as well. The top line seems to be a lot more mobility focused, which is kind of understandable, but when you're using them in sieges, which I predominantly am, I don't really do fear battles, I think mobility, they are already a very fast unit, you know, they have this 10.4 base speed. I can't really control them any quicker than they move already. A little bit of extra accuracy, that nice cooldown, the armor penetration, but also after making a normal attack, all of the target's defenses are reduced by 5% for 15 seconds, and it can stack up to 3 times. The unit, a bit like bow riders, they throw javelins just as they move around at enemies if they're in range. You don't always have to target them like a traditional javelin unit. You know, yes, you do have your explosive javelins, which you can focus and pick where they throw, but if you're just sort of milling around and a unit of pipe militia walks past, they'll start throwing javelins at them. So that you actually build up this defense debuff on them as well. And I think that's what tips the bottom line kind of in favour of being slightly better, in my opinion. But I think also the top line is still very viable. Obviously, without that defense boost from the charge, their actual core stats are pretty poor. You know, they have basically no defensive ability at all. 700 hit points, so they're not super strong. You know, they do die very easily, and there are only 18 men in the unit. But they are only coming in at 170 leadership, so it's not too bad, and you can certainly rack up a fair few kills with them. So what about Doctrines? Doctrine-wise, I would have liked the Block Break Javelin Doctrine, but I don't have one. And I don't have any Epic Doctrine chests, so we can't have it. But we have got the increased damage and the increased armor penetration, which is nice to have. And we have got that increased javelin damage, which is a really nice doctrine. That plus 180 base damage per hit really actually adds a fair chunk to it. Other than that, we've added in that increased ammo by 10%. they don't feel horrifically short on ammo as a unit, particularly if you can get that charge off to restock your ammo a little bit. You know, you do run out, but they move so damn quickly, they get back to the supply point super fast, so it's not really been a problem for me. I've also gone for the Outrider Doctrine 1 that came with the unit. Going to reduce the Burning Plains, which is the explosive javelin throw, by another 4 seconds, which actually, when you consider the cooldown is only like 6-7 seconds by this point anyway, it actually is, as a percentage, is quite a significant decrease. So yeah, well worth putting that one on, I think. And then, of course, just to bake through Doctrine, just so they do a little bit more damage on each of their throws, a little bit more damage on the explosive, etc. Just ups the damage against enemy units. So yeah, been really enjoying them. Let's just hop into a few battles with them then. Seem to have all happened on Harbour City. I just cannot seem to escape this map today, but actually it's quite a nice one for cavalry, so can't really complain. So yeah, let's hop into some battles. So we're kicking things off, as we said, on Harbour City. I just got myself killed with my Madao, unfortunately, but it gave me the opportunity to spawn in with these Outriders. We have lost A, and I wasn't sure if we were really going to end up holding that supply point near the A wall. So that's really where I'm kind of heading. I've got the mobility to get out of it if it all goes wrong, so I'm not too concerned at the moment. But as we just round this corner, we just get a little enemy pike hero. As you can see the javelins start to get thrown, not super accurate, but get a few hits and it helps, and then I can just sort of jump off and get the kill with my hero. So we picked up our first hero kill, and then I'm deciding where I want to go. So it looks like there's a bit of stuff pushing in with the gate, but actually the bulk of the stuff is down this side wall. So we come round and we basically get into a position where we can start to use our explosive arrows. And you're not going to be picking up, you know, huge amounts of kills, although we do manage to just grab ourselves a second hero kill. That was where we stuck in with one of the explosive javelins, and then a couple of seconds later it exploded. That's why you got the kill after we'd already thrown. Had a little pop at trying to get some of these guys on the stairs, but didn't really quite pan out for me. But yeah, you're not going to be getting huge kills with the explosive arrow, but it does build up quite quickly over time. And as you can see, the cooldown is extremely short, and that's really kind of what makes it a nice ability. And it's seemingly maybe every time I get 5, 8, 10 kills with it, but you can start to build them up really rather quickly, and because of the mobility you can keep yourself relatively safe. As you see, look, another chunk of kills, then you get the explosion and you get a few more. And then sometimes you even just get a few extra little cheeky kills with the javelin throw as well. So okay, they're starting to get some falconetti setting up, shooting down that tunnel, so I'd kind of gone off that a little bit, but I noticed there's a little bit of a hoo-ha breaking out in the middle. So I kind of come back to have a little bit of a look at this, at what's going on down here. I'm just kind of looking for my way in. I wanted to see what the enemy cavalry situation was. I wasn't entirely sure that that's really the way I wanted to go, but with the Falco there, you know, I don't think fighting on that supply point is good. One Falco hit and these guys are going to start to go down quickly. So we do round the corner and we get a nice rear-facing unit of Palace Guards. Yay! It's charged straight in. That pans out nicely. So that's using the 2 ability. You see their ammo goes straight back up to full. They basically charge in. They throw at point blank range their explosive javelins. They do a little bit of collision damage and then the javelins explode. So actually they do a fairly good chunk of damage in that sort of situation. And as you see, at least to the rear of the unit of Palace Guards, it works very nicely, pretty much wiped the unit. So yeah, they still have a fairly decent charge on them. But then as we come back to the supply point, the Falcos seem to have gone, and there is a lovely juicy unit of shield wall. So this is really just an opportunity. Oh, another hero kill. You do seem to get a lot of random hero kills. Just a great opportunity just to get these explosive javelins to work. As you say, not huge kills each time, 5-10 kills a volley, but that really builds up very rapidly. Particularly when you're doing this, like, you know, every sort of 10 seconds or something. You get hit by a little bit of return arrow fire, so I have to make a bit of a dash for the supply point. And that is one of the weaknesses of the unit. They are very fragile, and when you start taking return ranged fire like that in that sort of situation, it does get a bit dangerous. It does mean we miss this monastic charge. I pull back and sort of flank round, wait for them to finish their charge, and then I move forwards and just go straight on with the 2 ability. They basically target and hit the monastics with the throw quite effectively, so it kills most of them actually in the throw, and those few who survive basically get killed by the explosive. So we're actually able to deal with the charge like that just fine. But you need to avoid the incoming charge. They will not hold up against a frontal charge, and your 2 ability isn't a counter charge in that sense. The monastics will quite happily flatten you. So with them dead, I'm just sort of looking around for what I want to do next. The team's actually starting to push out from the supply point a little bit. I get a few throws up on these stairs, but as it kind of said, you actually have to hit a unit for the throw to explode. If you just throw it at a piece of stone stair, then it doesn't actually explode. So you see there, I didn't really hit anything, so it wasn't all that effective. The enemy come in with a nice hussar charge. Don't think our muskets really appreciated that. There wasn't a lot I could do there. Got the unit back to the supply point to re-ammo anyway, but they also start to bring in stuff like guns and pavis, and I was tempted to try and get an explosive volley basically amongst the enemy ranged units there. Oh, another hero kill. But it was a bad idea. We got a few hits but not very many, but in reality the return fire is far stronger than the amount of damage I'm outputting, so we end up losing a few units without really gaining anything. So yeah, shouldn't have done that. You need to be sort of either flanking or hitting range fast, not really getting into a toe-to-toe fight with it, because it seems like in most situations you are going to be losing. So with that happening and the situation developing on the supply point, I thought we'd head out into the centre of town to, well, see what's going on around there. We have lost some of the unit, but we still got a decent chunk available. As we round the corner, come across these Jav Sergeants. My only option is really to hit them hard and fast. So we just go straight in, round the corner, press the 2 key, get in with them, get stuck in a bit with some of the explosive javelins, and basically then trying to deal with this poleaxe. We managed to get a bit of damage on him, but just as I think I've about got him, he's still got his ultimate in the can, and he turns and ults me, but thankfully the unit is here, and it can just throw a javelin into his head, and he dies. So that was handy. A little bit lucky, I think, to be honest. I thought he had already used his ult up, so that's why I was a bit careless. But yeah, we got away with that one. Good chunk of the unit still left. Obviously just wiped out a unit of Jav Sergeants. A nice trade. And then I'm sort of pushing back towards our supply point at the top here, because you'll notice actually we've lost control of it. And if they get this supply point, they can start to push base relatively effectively. We have got some berserkers on the right, but mostly interested in trying to recap here. Just give it enough time for the Treb to land. We can go in and just help sort of get the assist on that, and then turn and deal with what's left of these berserkers, because I think that was their controlling hero, so there's no longer there to sort of help control them or put them into rage mode, etc. So anyway, they're dead. Just finish off capturing the supply, because the unit both needs ammo and it's pretty desperate for a little bit of healing, and I need a horse. But since there's just a few of them left, it didn't seem a lot of point, particularly in this late stage in the battle, in kind of changing them. I tried to intercept that javelin and that dual blades there. I should have noticed him a little bit earlier on in the map, and we could have probably got the unit in place in time. Thankfully though, we had a short bow and were still able to catch up with him, and the team was able to get him. But now we've got the front gate blocked, we've really sort of dominated this game and we've got it in the bag. I just move up and go and get a few extra little kills here, just sort of sit at the back and throw some javelins in, before when I run out of ammo I end up just charging in. But it gives a little bit of a highlight of what this unit plays like in battles. The explosive arrow is nice. It doesn't do huge burst damage, but it racks up really rather quickly. And the mobility and speed of the unit makes it very, very nice. In a very literal role reversal, we are back on Harbour City, but this time actually on the attack. And rather than having just lost the A point, we've actually just managed to capture it. So we come through the main gate and actually just get straight up to the supply, which the team is starting to push relatively hard. Not getting stuck in with some of the javelins. You see the explosive damage actually picks up really rather quickly. And as they just have a few left, we just go straight in with the 2 keys, straight in with the charge. And you see how quickly we actually do manage to get a fair chunk of burst damage actually and get quite a few kills. And we don't really even take any casualties. And you can see as you go in that charging, you restock basically all your ammo. So it does work out really nicely. And throughout this whole thing, the unit is of course still just continuously throwing their javelins normally anyway. But with the worst of the carnage over, just go back to re-ammo, re-health, get stocked up a little bit before we kind of push on to the main base point, because we've still got a fair bit of work to do. I think the hard thing on a map like this though is always finding the place where you need to or should be going next. Where do you want to be pushing? Obviously you want to be pushing main base, but pushing down that main sort of back straight is always going to be suicide, because the amount of range there is there. So you've really got to look for your sort of flanking, your opportunities, your way in to get sort of round the side and get a bit of damage in and kind of help that main push. So instead I decided to sort of go and have a little bit of a poke around at the second supply point. There's a fair few people down there, so it seemed like a decent opportunity. But the enemy kind of were pushing our team back and out of the base, so I was a little bit nervous about kind of getting too stuck in. Look at the amount of stuff that is there. So instead we kind of come up. I see there's a group of ranged at the back. Try and get some throws in there. Managed to get a few hits on some stuff. And you wait for the explosion. I love the fact that you get sort of like a double kill count. Get a few hits with the javelins. And then get a few hits with the explosion. Anyway, so I'm just kind of harassing them basically on the flank. Looking for my opportunities. Could maybe have gone for those PVs there. Looks like the situation has improved a little bit now at the supply point. So I can sort of push with a little bit more force and actually do a little bit more about it. There's a couple of enemy heroes on here. The unit of course does just go for its normal javelins. I go in for my tour ability and just get stuck straight in where we actually do reasonably okay. Take a chunk of damage, but as we can get in with our explosive arrows as well, we can pick up a few kills and still manage to just about get clear of them and kind of back to the back of the supply point. And because we use a 2 key, you obviously keep a good chunk of ammo on them, so we're able to keep up the pressure. The unit is obviously continuously throwing javelins in this sort of situation. Just a few units here, so I do go for an explosive arrow, but it wasn't really worth it with a few units there are. But I suppose we're on the supply point, so you might as well get instant ammo. And so then I'm just waiting for the unit to heal up and resupply, and kind of decide where I want to go next. They could do with a little bit more target leading sometimes on the javelins. Like then they managed to hit the horse, but they couldn't actually hit the enemy guy. Get our explosive javelins in as these guys come around the corner. Another random hero kill. It seems to be the hallmark of this unit. And we send them straight in for a little bit of a random charge. They end up basically getting stuck in amongst this unit of PVs. So I go for an explosive arrow here. And you see we actually get basically the full unit of PVs. A few of them manage to survive and I get pinned into a corner and die. But actually still did pretty well. And we've still got well over 50, 60, 70 kills with them as a unit. So, yeah, have been a really enjoyable unit to play. Big fan of them so far. Definitely going to be slotting them into my warband a bit more, I think, and continuing to play them. How have you guys been getting on with them so far? Would be interested to hear, so do let me know in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for lots more Conqueror's Blade content. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all on the next one.